Good evening. This is All Sports with LD coming back at you with another YouTube video from my YouTube channel. Before I get into tonight's post, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. Okay, so let's talk about it. And honestly, when this was reported as being an actual fight, I was definitely surprised because, in my opinion, Tyson Fury doesn't have anything to prove. I think the 3 fights with Wilder took a lot out of him. So I was just really surprised. My opinion, he's already a future Hall of Famer, heavyweight champion of the world, the best heavyweight champion. So, I just surprised. Maybe this is like a farewell fight. I don't see the Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight happening. Mainly because I think Anthony Joshua will get beat again by Usyk, so I don't think there's anything to see there. But I'm digressing. So let's talk about it. Well, when I looked at the last fight that Dylan Whyte had, it was against Povetkin. Now, as I understand it, Povetkin beat him like 8 months earlier with a TKO win. So, with this second fight, as I looked at Dylan Whyte's style, I wasn't overly impressed. I mean, he's a big guy, 6'4", but I wasn't very impressed with what I saw. He doesn't have much of a jab. I mean, it's sort of like a rangefinder at best. I mean, it's not a very hard sticking jab, at least what he showed against the second fight of Povetkin. But what I saw was a fighter who likes to throw wild looping haymakers. He puts his head down and throws to the fences and hopes one lands. I didn't particularly care for that strategy, although it worked. But keep in mind, though, Povetkin's like 41, so well past his prime as a boxer. So, I mean, it worked. It wasn't pretty. Not a lot of defense from Whyte, but again, Povetkin really wasn't throwing anything that made Dylan defend himself well. So, it was negligible. But as I watched the highlights of the fight, I just didn't see a whole lot. I was impressed with Dylan Whyte, and from what I understand, I've kind of kept abreast of Dylan Whyte. He talks a lot of trash, which is surprising given the fact he's really not very skilled as a heavyweight fighter. Nonetheless, I mean, he has the fight against Fury April 23rd. So they're both 34 going into this fight, and that's pretty old in terms of boxing. So yeah, it just is in terms of they're pretty in the same age. They're going to be the same age going into the fight. Fury is 6'9", Whyte 6'4". Fury is going to have all the advantages, in my opinion: the height, the reach, the boxing skill, the power. Yes, people say that Whyte has power. I mean, it looked nice against Povetkin, again, a 41-year-old fighter who really didn't offer much offense or resistance. So it looked good, but in terms of against a more skilled fighter, I don't think Dylan Whyte stands a chance. I did not like his strategy. Like I said, the wild looping haymakers. He just puts his head down. There's no jab. There's no strategy to set up the right hand. I saw one good combination from him, but it really wasn't a significant combination in the 4th round when he actually ended up stopping Povetkin in the second fight. He threw a jab, right hand cross, straight right hand, and it really wasn't like a very stunning punch. I mean, really, Pavakian was already hurt from the accumulation of the haymakers that he was getting caught with. So he stumbled back against the ropes. Whyte moved in to finish him off. It wasn't impressive by any means. It wasn't like you've seen that fight, you saw that fight and said, "Oh, Tyson Fury's in trouble." It's, I mean, it was a decent win against an old fighter who passed his prime. So I don't expect that Whyte can pose a threat to Fury. I just don't see anything here. And I'm trying to figure out why the fight was made. Again, maybe it's kind of the last hoorah for Tyson Fury, but and there's really nothing here. I don't see anything that Dylan Whyte possesses that makes me believe he's going to defeat Fury. Now, there's been some talk that they have sparred in the past. Fury's version says he completely handled Whyte. Whyte says he knocked Fury down in the sparring. Fury denies he was knocked down. So there's been a lot of back and forth. But ultimately, I agree with Tyson Fury. Even if that was the case that Whyte knocked him down in sparring, sparring is different from the actual fight. And I think Fury has the skill and the technique to avoid those haymakers. I don't think Dylan Whyte will be able to land those haymakers as often as he did against Pavakian, because Fury is very, very skilled at avoiding those punches, just like he did with Wilder. Yeah, well, we know Wilder is his right hand is his bread and butter. While because of his skill and his technique, he took that weapon away from Wilder for the most part, with the exception of getting dropped the 2 times in the third fight. But Fury is very adept at taking his opponent's weapons away from him, and I suspect he's going to do the same thing to Whyte. I mean, he's going to have the weight advantage, height advantage, and the reach advantage. So I expect him to probably lean on Dylan Whyte just the way he did on against Wilder and wear him out. And ultimately, I think at one point, I think Fury had said that he would probably knock him out in the first round, being Dylan Whyte. I wouldn't be surprised if he does do that. I mean, he certainly does have the power. He's shown that against Wilder. So, like I said, I don't see much here. I'll definitely tune in to watch it. I just don't see this. To me, I think he's going to be an easier fight than Wilder. I mean, because although Wilder at times looks very amateurish, he does possess a big right hand. He has some level of skill, but I think if we compare the two fighters, I think Wilder is better than Whyte. Just based on what I've seen, watching Wilder over the years and seeing the highlights of the second Pavakian fight, I just don't look at Dylan Whyte or think he has enough skill to beat Fury. That's just my take. I mean, this is what I've seen from him. Not a lot of defense there. Like I said, he throws haymakers. There's no strategy. He doesn't set anything up off the jab. It's just throw one and throw a Hail Mary and hope it lands. So I think Fury will, if he doesn't knock him out in the first round, this fight is going to be done in 5 rounds tops. So that's my take on the upcoming battle between Fury and Whyte. I'll tune in, like I said, and we'll see what happens. Until next time, have a good one.